wanted to make a video about what I'm thinking. Could be, this is a theory. This is not that I have seen any type of document stating this, but I think the Republican plan for Puerto Rico is to depopulate it, to use the hurricane Maria as an excuse to basically do what I would call a siege, where they're going to try to not let the people have the basic needs so that they get tired and they just abandon their properties, and eventually saludo mate, where they just abandon the properties, and eventually the developers and the corporations can swoop in and buy everything. The path is already cleared by this law, this hideous, heinous law called PROMESA. PROMESA is basically a 7-member dictatorship of Puerto Rico. The 7 members of this board were appointed by United States Congress, and without elections, without anything, and they have power over any decision that gets made in Puerto Rico, not just about its finances, but territory. They can now sell the beaches, the public beaches. They can just take over natural reserve and sell it to pay their Wall Street buddies, the vultures. Some of the people who were involved in the pillaging, te dejo saber, Mate. So some of these people were contributors to the destruction of Puerto Rico. This debt, the so quote unquote debt, is odious debt. What is odious? Odious means hateful. Or only, like, when I'm saying only, it was 32 billion in debt. The rest is interest, illegal interest. The debt has not been audited. It was accrued by a bunch of unscrupulous right-wing politicians in Puerto Rico in cahoots with Wall Street and the United States Congress, mostly the Republican caucus, who allowed this to happen because of all the deregulation in investment banking that they allowed, and also some Democrats allowed. Democrats, they deregulated under the Clinton era. They deregulated a lot of the investment practices. So Santander, what they used to do was just, they'll tell people, there are actually emails. The evidence is overwhelming. Santander telling its brokers push this bonds, this junk bonds, to the Puerto Rican people, and rate them as great bonds when they were already junk bonds. So they were selling these junk bonds to ourselves. So but the main culprit of this disaster was Pedro Rosselló. He's the father of the current Puerto Rican governor. Under his administration, over 40 of his employees, the people who were under him, and Secretary of Education, they found $300,000 under his bed that he has stolen from kids' lunches and stuff. These guys are real trash. And nothing happened to Pedro Rosselló because they were all in cahoots with the brokers who sold this bonds. And mind you, all these brokers are making cold hard cash via commission by selling these junk bonds issued to ourselves, to Puerto Rican people. They were selling it to elderly Puerto Rican people, Puerto Rican investors, small time people as great bonds. Hey, invest in your own country. And they knew full well that they were junk bonds, but they misrepresented, they lied, they committed fraud. And not one of these people from Santander or the other banks were convicted of anything. There's nothing happened to them. The governor, the other governor, he got caught. Nothing happened to them. $150 million scheme for gasoline, selling some gasoline for the power company, which operates on still operates on fuel. There's no, it's old equipment instead of investing in them. So and all these people are under the tutelage of the United States Congress and the Wall Street companies. So they paved the way for this to happen. So people say, why isn't Puerto Rico why isn't Puerto Rico being helped the way they should be helped? I gotta say that there's got to be something behind it. I have contractors friends. I just spoke to a contractor friend yesterday, and actually he's an engineer, but he has contractors, big contractors in Puerto Rico that are friends. We grew up together, and they're telling me that something's going on, because as soon as there was a catastrophe, any type of catastrophe, natural catastrophe in Puerto Rico, the contractors in Puerto Rico would get called in right away to rebuild and all this stuff. None are being called. All the companies that are coming in to do the restoration and all this stuff are contracts from outside. We do have contractors that do a lot of work for the government for reestablishing, and for the federal government to reestablish services, and very few of them are being called. And the ones that are being called is because they fight to get in, like the guy who went to the FEMA table in operations. They have an operations centers, and he had to get mad at them and say, I have 150 trucks out there that can pull those containers. What is it with red tape? So even they have veterans on the ground, have United States Armed Forces veterans who are volunteered to help volunteering to help Puerto Rico. And they're coming out on videos and said, we don't know what's going on here, but they're saying that there's no access to the mountains. And that's not true. They made it all the way to the mountains. And here is FEMA saying, oh, that's not our job to deliver water and food to the people, which is not true. That is not true. Okay? FEMA's putting out statements saying that, for example, Ay Bonito is a town up in the mountains, and they were saying, oh, it's inaccessible. We can't get there. The road is a mess and blah, blah, blah. Well, MSNBC, they are left-leaning news. They went and got a crew of people, and sent them to Puerto Rico with cameras. They drove all the way straight from the airport to Ay Bonito and say, where is the obstructions that FEMA is saying that are present to get here? So it appears to me that Republicans are trying to, the ones in Congress, by the way, 90, originally there were 90 Republican lawmakers who voted against aid for Puerto Rico. Look it up. And they ended up, some of them, after the public outcry, international outcry to help Puerto Rico, and the horrific response from the Trump administration, they went down to 69. There's still almost 70 lawmakers who did not want to approve any aid to Puerto Rico. So you have some evil people in the Republican Party treating us like we're some type of leech. When the other way around is the truth. Puerto Rico has been parasited upon by the United States government over the 96-year history of the cabotage laws, Jones Act since 1917. It has estimated that we have overpaid the shipping industry $576 billion for extra shipping that it gets imposed on us by the cabotage laws. We have had thousands and thousands of our children, of our men and women die, spill blood fighting in the United States wars. Not only that, we have a lot of us. I have Arawak Nation blood in my veins, which is a Native American tribe, which were the original inhabitants of Florida. We were called the Temucuan, Tequesta, Jaega, Ais. All those tribes are Arawak from my ancestors. Um, so these people don't know that a lot of people don't know that Puerto Rico is Puerto Ricans are citizens. And but the Republicans, a lot of the Republicans have gone out of their way to shame people in the moment of pain, and to pave the way. From what I think, and this is my theory, I think they want to do to what they did to Hawaii. Hawaii, they dispossessed the native population, and they gave away the land to developers, so that or sold it or whatever, for pennies. And then they have the audacity to say, "Oh, they sold it to us." They didn't sell it to us. They did the same thing they did to half of Mexico, which is half of the United States, was a part of Mexico, stolen through aggressive war, just like Hitler stole it. Now this stole France and stole the rest of the Poland and everything that he stole. So they claim that the same way they claim half of the United States, they claim Puerto Rico was an invasion, a military brutal invasion. But we're past that now, and what I think has been a collusion between the Puerto Rican government, the United States Congress, and now the supermajority of the Republican Party in power. They are going to use the PROMESA law to, this is my theory, and I think it's, a lot of people are saying it, it's like these people are trying to starve us out of our own island, so they can put Puerto Rican people in ghettos and stuff. The one thing they're not counting on is the resiliency of the Puerto Rican people. It's not going to work. We don't give up without a fight. So, anyways, I hope it doesn't work, and I'm going to make sure that I fight against that, so that Puerto Rico is treated fairly and honestly, and we're taken care of like any other citizens. Because you would never hear such a thing, and you didn't hear such a thing when Houston got slammed by a hurricane, or Florida gets slammed by hurricanes. You never hear that. It's the treatment. I'll close with this. Cuba got hit by a hurricane, and they already have 99% of the grid working, the electrical grid working. So think about that for 1 second. Now, I understand Cuba is not as developed as Puerto Rico as far as infrastructure, the amount of it, but think about that for 1 second. The most powerful nation on earth has failed to deliver simple water and food to a little island that's 100 by 35. Think about that for 1 second. What's behind that? That's planned. I believe that's planned. There's a plan behind this to take advantage of this situation and starve out the poor and buy the land for cheap, so they can give it to their developer buddies and turn Puerto Rico into Hawaii.